Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Riku and this is my hubby Matt.
Hi.
Today we're gonna talk about how we met. So we met at the grocery store in Kumamoto. So at the time I was shopping with my mom and then he was shopping with with his friends. And then at that time we were just shopping, blah blah blah. And then my mom first saw him and then told me, "Hey, Riku, あそこにイケメンがおるばい。話しかけてきなさい." Like my mom said that. So I was like, "What? Mom, what are you talking about?" And then at that time we were wearing masks, right? So like this. So I thought he was a little scary person because he was like a really, serious face, like this. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know about that, Mom. Like, I don't want to talk to him." But then, again, later on, we saw him at the register. Was it register?
Yep, the register.
The register. And then my mom was like, "Riku, if you're not gonna go now, then you will regret it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll go." And then I just ran to him and I said, wait, what did I say? I said like...
Well, okay. This is a good spot for me. Okay, so now I'll tell my side of the story. So I was with my friends, right? And we were grocery shopping together and I carpooled with them. And yeah, I got my groceries first and went to the cash register. And this was after about a year of me living in Japan. And so my Japanese was like, okay, but I was nervous about stuff. Sometimes I don't understand what the person at the register is saying in Japanese. They'll say something, I'm like, okay, here's my money, and then go from there. And so I bought my groceries, I got my change and everything. I thought, okay, everything's fine. Like I did everything okay, I'm not in trouble. And I was walking towards the exit of the grocery store, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone who was like walking towards me really fast. And I'm like, and I was like, someone's mad at me. I did something wrong. I thought the grocery store people were mad. But then I looked over and I saw this beautiful girl standing in front of me. And she started speaking in really, to me, it was like perfect English. She's like, excuse me, are you a student or are you a teacher? Or what do you do in Japan? I'm like, yeah, I'm an English teacher. What's up? And and then what did you say? Do you remember?
I don't remember. At the time you were like, I thought you were scary, right?
Yeah.
But then you turned and then kind of smiled at me. So I was like, I'm relieved. Okay, this is a nice person.
I think you said something like, you're like, I really want to get better at English. So do you want to exchange Instagram and do you want to get together sometime?
Oh, right.
Yeah. And to me, I'm just like...
Oh, wait, but I think first we just a talk, right?
Yeah, we're talking a little bit.
We were talking a little bit, and then we were like, okay, so bye. And then I went to my mom, and then my mom asked me, did you get his number or something? I was like, I forgot about it. And then I ran back to you, and then I asked you do you have Instagram or something?
Okay, yeah.
Right?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
In my head, it was all a blur, because I was just excited. I was just in my mind, I'm like, this girl just approached me and started talking to me. So in my head, I'm like, this girl is so into me. This is great. And I was talking with her, and eventually we exchanged Instagrams. And then my friends come from the grocery store too. And I could see it in my friends' eyes. They're just like, Matt, what are you doing? But then Riku started talking with my friends too, my English teacher friends. And we're all just chatting. She's like, can I have your guys' Instagram accounts too? And Riku just wanted to be friends with all of us on Instagram. And after that happened, I was talking with my friends. I'm like, this is great. They're like, what are you gonna do, Matt? I'm gonna message her tonight. And as soon as I got home, I sent her a message on Instagram and I said, do you want to go to this cafe this weekend? Because in my head, I was so confident. I'm like, yeah, this girl is so into me. I should go for it. And so we set up a time around noon the next weekend to go to this cafe because I wanted to talk to her some more. And so I got the reservation. I went to the cafe. I was there 15 minutes early because I was so excited. I got a haircut and everything. And then I went to the restaurant and I had a table and I was just waiting there for her. So then what did you do?
And I was actually waiting outside. And then you texted me, I'm here or something. So I was like, he's here. So I went there and then I was looking.
Yeah.
And then I found one guy's sitting like this, like really straight, and like good hair and like a good shirt. I was like, is that him? I walked over there and I was so surprised because like I thought like 4 of us with your friends, like we're gonna hang out together.
You thought the 4 of us were just gonna come together?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, just him. And then he's like really nervous and like sitting down really straight. I'm like, okay, is this an interview or something? I'm like,
I couldn't even tell you were surprised though, because as soon as you came in, then you like greeted me really like, you know, happy but like kind of polite at first.
You're just like this.
Yeah, you're just like, oh hi, like good to see you again. I'm like, oh yeah. I was doing the whole Japanese thing where I was like kind of bowing. I'm like, oh hi, good to see you. And we sat down, and the first date was fun, but it was a little awkward because we didn't know each other really well yet.
Right.
So we're just kind of sitting there like, okay, what kind of food do you want to order? Oh, this looks good. Okay, yeah, I'll order this. And as we're waiting for the food, we're just like talking like, we're like, okay, so what do you like to do? And I was like, oh, we just talked about a lot of little things. Like, what all did we talk about on the first date?
We talked about like our favorite singers or like
like music,
music, and my experience in Canada, like
right,
my hometown.
Right. That was actually a really important thing in our first date. Was when we were talking about like she told me she lived in Canada for 1 year, and since I'm from North Dakota is right next to Canada, so the culture is a little similar. So we could talk about a lot of things that like we could relate with each other. Like she'd tell me, oh yeah, the winters were really cold in Canada. I'm like, oh, the winters are really cold in North Dakota too. How about that? We got something in common. Like a lot of little things like that. So the first date was fun, but like, you know, a little awkward because it's the first date, but it went well. And oh yeah, I forgot to say, like we went to the cafe, and then afterwards we walked around a park for a little while. We were just walking around the neighborhood. Right. And then we also, didn't we go to a place for dessert or something?
Another cafe.
We went to another cafe and stuff, so that was the first date, and that went pretty fun.
Yeah, but you said like the first date was like kind of like so.
Did I? I mean,
you felt like we don't have really like in common.
I was a little nervous because we started to get to know each other, but at first I was like, okay, do we have enough in common? Because there were some differences between us. Yeah. Like, I don't know, some of the music artists didn't sync up, or like some of our hobbies weren't the same. So at first I was like, okay, the girl's nice, but I'm like, oh, I don't know, like I wasn't sure yet. Like I still wasn't sure, but I wanted another date with you. So like, I don't know if it was the same day or later, but eventually I decided to ask for a second date. For the second date, again, what did we do for the second date? I forgot.
We went to the cafe, like a wild cafe.
Another cafe? Oh, okay, yeah. So we went to another cafe, but this time it was like a Western theme cafe. It had this really cool, big, what was it? Like a monster truck thing. Right. It was like a really big truck. And again, it was a really nice cafe, and we did some more talking. We got to know each other some more. It was still a little awkward, but it was like becoming a little more relaxed, and that was fun. But on the second date, after the cafe, we did something a little different. We went to a park and we played badminton, right? Right. And that was a lot of fun, because for me, if we're just talking, it's okay, like, we just talk about stuff, but it's, you know, a little awkward. But if you do like an activity, something fun, it helps, you know, make both people more relaxed. Yeah. And so after we did badminton, it was so fun because I got to see that Riku's really competitive. And then I found he's really weak. Whatever. Like, I'm not that weak. Like, I won a little bit. But no, good at badminton. I'm not. I would say. Whatever. Like, we were like close to the same. But no, that was a lot of fun because then, like, you know, we could show that kind of fun side of each other and get like really into it and laugh and stuff. So after that, I think it felt even better. Like we were getting even more closer. So the second date, at the end of it, was really fun. Right. And at this point, right, I'm like, okay, she came back for a second date. We're having fun playing badminton. I'm like, she's still into me. I'm like, yeah, she's been into me this whole time. Like I was like getting really confident. I'm like, this is it. So I'm like, okay, the third date, this is the one. I was like planning it. I'm like, the third date, I'm gonna ask her to be my girlfriend. And so we planned the third date. And again, I think the third date was just another cafe, right? We went, wait, what was it? Before that, we played badminton at the park. Oh, the first thing was
morning.
badminton?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the third date, we started badminton again, which is fun.
Yep.
We went for lunch somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the third thing we did was we just went to the park.
Right.
So, it was like in the afternoon at the park. Or like, it was more like the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like, it was starting to be like the sunset. So the sky was kind of pretty, like orangish. And, so at the park we went to, how do I even say it? There was like a bunch of big equipment.
Right.
Some of the stuff was just like, there were like swings and like, and then Riku loved, like she was telling me the story of like one of the things was this rope. It was like this rope that you could go and like grab onto and you could like swing down like really far. That was really fun.
Yeah, like a Tarzan.
Yeah, like a Tarzan kind of thing. And she like told me that she did it when she was a kid. And then like she did it in front of me and like it was really cute and funny. And then I wrote it too.
1, go!
And then after that we were walking a little bit and then there was like this big, it was like a big net, like this rope or stuff.
Rope tower kind of?
It was like a rope tower thing that kids can climb on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, do you want to like sit up there and just like talk about stuff? And we climbed up there and we were just like talking about life and stuff. Meanwhile, like over to the right of us, there were a bunch of kids just like having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were just talking. And I don't remember how I did this, but like first we were just talking about random stuff.
Right.
And then eventually I asked, I'm like, oh, so have you ever dated anybody before? Or have you ever had like, you know, boyfriends or something? I said something like that.
Yeah.
And what were you like?
Like, you're kind of like starting to ask me some like romantic questions. I was like, okay, why he's asking me those kind of questions? Because that was like really sudden, right?
Well, kind
We were
of, but
like talking about like random stuff.
But this was like the third date, and like I was setting up the spot to sit. So in my head, I'm like, oh, this is the perfect. And at the moment, like you seemed like the whole time, like you seemed to be having fun, and you were like,
right.
You were liking the conversation. So in my head, you were like, you know, you're into it. Like this was the great flow. I'm like, okay, we're talking about relationships and stuff. Like, here we go.
In my mind, the first day and second day you said it's a date, but then for me it was like hang out.
So for you,
Your
the first
friend.
two were just hangouts.
Yeah, hanging out. And
For
I
me, it was like, oh, this is clearly a date. But
Yeah.
but in my mind, the whole time, like again, like I said, since the beginning, I thought, oh, this girl's into me. Like these are dates, perfect. So I was still good. I'm like, yeah. And then we're on the jungle gym. We're on the thing. We're talking.
And you see the
I'm
jungle
asking-
gym. I didn't expect
You can
ask
see the
me.
sunset. You can see the sunset and
But
stuff.
then the kids are there.
That's fine.
No.
And then, yeah. So I asked her about that stuff. I'm like, okay, this is the moment. So I finally started asking her. I'm like, oh, so like, I'm not even asking. I was telling her, I'm like, okay, so like, you know, I think you're really cute. And I think, you know, I've been having a lot of fun since we've been hanging out. And I think you're really cute. And I want to get to know you better. So I was wondering if you want to be my girlfriend. I said something like that. But
Right.
I tried to say it very straightforward. And, you know, I was still a little nervous. Like, I didn't know what you were going to say. That's why I asked you. I'm like, oh, like boyfriends and stuff, right? Like, you don't have any of those, do you? Like,
Yeah, at
I was
that
I was
moment-
double checking to make sure you didn't have a boyfriend.
Right. So at the moment, I was kind of like realized, wait, is he gonna tell me something? Or like, you know?
Only at that moment, huh?
Yeah, only that 10 minutes.
It's a good thing that was straightforward then, because I just plainly said, I'm like, okay, will you be my girlfriend? And then like, I remember you saying like very happy. You're just like, yeah. Like you didn't really wait that long. You're just like, yeah, I'll be your girlfriend, right?
Right, because like that time you're like, you didn't say like, I like you or something like that. You said something like, oh, I want to get to know you.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I
said
like
something
that.
like that.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you like that phrasing?
Yeah,
Okay.
to get to know each
To
other.
get to know you,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I was like, okay.
And then because you didn't even take long to think about it. You're just like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, this confirms it. Since the beginning, she was so into me. Like, great. And then that's the story. That's how we first met. That's how we started the first few dates. And then we became boyfriend and girlfriend. And, you know, as we kept on hanging out and we started becoming more and more comfortable with each other, we started, like, talking about all this stuff. And eventually we, like, started talking about our memories of the first few dates. And I asked Riku, I'm like, oh, yeah, so when you approached me, like, it's because you were, like, attracted to me or you're into me, right? That's why you approached me? And then what did you say?
Nope.
And I was like, what? What do you mean no? You like approached me at the grocery store and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was like my mom told me so.
It was just because your mom told you. And I was like, oh wow, like, dang. It's a good thing I didn't know that, because otherwise I wouldn't have been so confident.
Right.
But yeah, it turned out well, so yeah.
That was a fun memory.
It was a fun memory,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, it's funny to say it that way, because it's like, what, you weren't into me? But, I mean, yeah, it's funny looking back at it, because I mean, one of the main reasons that I fell in love with Riku is like, I mean, your mom told you to do it, right? But still, like, for me, when I was living in Japan, you know, compared to like Americans, like Japanese people are really shy, right?
Mm.
And like in public, you know, like wherever, people are always shy. And like just knowing that, and the fact that you were confident enough to like approach a stranger like me in a grocery store and just start talking to me, like that left a big impression on me. I'm like, wow, this girl is really different than other girls in Japan. And the fact that your English was so good and like you wanted to talk about so much stuff. Like I was nervous on the first few dates, or the first couple dates, because, you know, it was kind of, at first I'm like, okay, this girl is really normal and very, you know, we're talking about really like average, normal stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this is all right. But the fact that you were so confident, and as we started to talk to each other more, we could talk about more open, free, funny, weird stuff. And
You sound weird.
okay, come on, like, we're both a little weird. But that's fine, because, like, you know, we can be open and honest with each other. And I'd say that's, like, I don't know, the best part of our relationship, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this was our story. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe my channel.
Yep, and if you have any comments or more questions about our story, please leave a comment. Thank you.
Down below.
Yeah.